So in this video, we hit things with wood, we get the fire can out, we find plasticine in the crankcase. Jenkins. Hello, welcome to Tweedskater. In this video we're continuing work on the Adler MB250, my German twin cylinder two-stroke from the 50s. Last time I was delving into the engine. I wanted to replace the crank seals, but I had a bit of mission creep and things got out of hand. Discovered that the seals were very dry, so I need to change the inner ones as well, and also the bearings were pitted, so they needed replacing. The outer ones, so probably the inner one as well needs doing. So started to make a few tools in the previous video to disassemble the engine. So I think the tool count was about 6, and then you left me trying to work out how to split the crank on the Adler. Now the Adler is a 2-piece crank similar to the Ariel or Yamaha as well. Their cranks are split as well. Not quite sure how they're put together. I think they're keyed. I don't know whether a press fit or the Ariel has an Allen bolt that goes through it. The Adler has what's called a Herf coupling, which is basically just sort of 2 serrated face gears that mesh together in the middle, and they're joined with a bolt that goes through like the Ariel. But unlike the Ariel, the Herf bolt is like a gear at the end, and you don't get at it directly. You go in at the side with a special tool, like a geared tool that goes in, and you wind the bolt out with that tool. So you left me trying to figure out how to do that, and it's buried deep at the back of the crankshaft. You can see here in the sort of murky depths. I managed to clean it up a bit. So I've got a few things to make a tool and get in there. So we've got some plasticine to give to Jenkins, keep them amused, and but also to poke in the hole around the gear, and you know, just to sort of get an idea of size, and when I make the gear, you know, whether it's going to mesh before I sort of take it off the milling machine and then have to, you know, lose my settings and can't set it back up again. So yeah, just a bit of plasticine poking the hole. One of you did sort of suggest that in the last video, and it was in my little noggin, but yeah, on the same wavelength and all that. Also what we got is a bit of hex bar to turn the tool up with, so I'm going to stick that in the lathe and start turning up a tool. Yeah, will it work? I don't know. Come along for the ride. Let's go and stick this in the lathe. So we've managed to measure the diameter of the hole at the back of the crank. So from that, it's 19mm, so I'm going to make this tool slightly smaller, not too small. I want it to sort of be, you know, a good fit, so that when it's engaging, the teeth are engaging, it's not getting sort of pressed away from the bolt when I'm sort of trying to undo it and tighten it up when we disassemble it. So pop this in the lathe, turn it down to 19, just under 19mm, which I think will give us a little bit of clearance, so do that. And then a chamfer on the other end and a bit of clearance to run the parting tool in. And then we'll just part that off. Then we'll move over to the milling machine. So we need to mount the work on the milling machine. So the first thing I need to do is move the vise to the end of the table, so it gives me a clear space to lower down the indexable rotary head. And this is what I'm going to mount my tool in to cut the splines on it. So I was going to use it with the centre at the other end to add a bit of stability, but it's a pretty sharp cutter I'm using, and I'd rather be able to see what I'm doing. It's bad enough machining on the back of it, as well as having the fixed steady in the way as well. So with that lowered down, squared up roughly with a square and bolted down, I just forgot to press record, but I did clock the shaft backwards and forwards to make sure it's running parallel with the cutter, and then we're ready to start cutting. So what I did do with a pair of dividers through the hole as accurately as I could was measure this space between the two teeth on the bolt head, and I'm hoping the bolt head is the same diameter as the hole for the tool to go in. You know, it's one of those catch-22 situations. Until I get it apart, I won't know what size it is, but I need to know what size it is to make the tool. So we're just guessing at it at the moment. So I measured the gap between the two teeth, and then I divided that by the circumference of the hole, or the diameter of the tool that I was making, and it came out to 11, just under 12. So what I've done for the first tool, see how this goes, is I'm going to cut 12 teeth on this, which is easy on this rotary indexable head, because I've got 24 divisions on my locking plate, so I can do it every other position, and that'll give me my 12 splines to cut. So let's get them cut. Okay, and that's as far as I can go with that. I really need to get an impression of the gears at the back of the hole with the plasticine, but to do that I need to remove the inner race of the bearing, because that is partially blocking the hole that you pop the tool in. So I've made another tool, done that off camera, but I'll show you it. It's actually bolted on at the moment, and we're sort of halfway through removing it. I thought you'd like to see, you know, the end of it coming off, and I'll show you the tool. Okay, right, let's go. So before we move down to the tool clamped to the bearing, I'll show you how it's made. This was a practice run, because I made it in a bit of gash stainless steel, and then realised my mistake, and then grabbed a gash bit of mild steel. It just makes it easier to find bits and bobs to weld onto it to make a puller. And it's just bored out on the inside. I used a grooving tool. This is for O-rings, and it's 3mm wide. So just ran it through on the lathe by eye, got the edge of it flush with the bottom of my ring here, and then set that as my 0 position, so that when I came down to the bottom, you get this little, you end up with this little curved lip at the bottom, and that's just enough to hook over the back of the bearing, because it's quite tight against the flywheel. There's not a lot of space to get behind it, so you see you end up with this nice thin knife edge that will just go behind, and then the curved surface wraps around the bottom of the bearing because they're sort of got a curved edge to them. And then just welded some bits and bobs onto it, but we'll show you down here. And here it is on the bearing at the moment. So it's just this ring turned up to fit on the outside of the inner bearing race, and then these extender nuts, these 8mm extender nuts, are really handy. So one of these on each side, and then another pair on the opposing side, and they just take a bit of threaded bar, and then once this was turned up, just welded these on, cut it in half, and then there you've got your puller on there, and it's got a bit of a tension on it still. Yeah, I'll square it up a bit. So as you can see, we've made progress, but I thought I'd bring you along for the last sort of moments of getting it off the end of the shaft. What I will do is just sort of put a bit of heat back into it again, hopefully just to relieve the pressure on the inner shaft, because it is tight. It took number 2 setting on the impact gun to start winding it off, but the welds have held up really nicely. I had to sort of tighten it up a little bit more because it was starting to sort of open up towards the back end where all the pressure was. But yeah, it done up really nicely, and it's all holding together quite well. And I think a few more duggers and this will be off. All right, just put a bit of heat into it. Don't know whether it helps at all, because it's such a tight fit, the heat will wick through pretty quick to the crankshaft. Yeah, I might knock that key out first. I think that might cause an issue. Lovely job. Lovely little chisel that. Oh no, got it. Bearing off. And this is why you have to remove that bearing. You see, it sort of cuts in to that hole. So you need that out of the way. So you've got the full hole there, so you can get the tool in to undo the nut. Right, tidy up, and then poke a bit of plasticine in there, see what our gear mesh is like. So here's the tool. We've had a couple of trial fits. I had to take it down just a smidge. I turned it about 19. That has come undone. Yeah, lost a few teeth. Lost a few teeth, but better to lose the teeth on this than damage the teeth on the irreplaceable bolt. So I'll pop it back in the lathe and turn this end down a bit, turn that end down a bit, and then so we've got a fresh set of teeth to go in to undo it. But if I hold the other crank, that's rocking, holding the other crank steady. This crank is wobbling around, so it is loose. But I can't undo it all the way, because you'll start separating the two cranks will start pushing apart from each other, and I need to get the heads off, barrels and pistons off, so that so I can get the conrods free, and then that'll allow me to undo it all the way and drop the cranks out. So yeah, need to get exhaust off and bits and bobs like that. So I'll get on and do that. I'll trim my tool down first, and so we've got a nice tool to undo it with, and then when we do it back up again. Sacrificial, but I know how many teeth, depth of cut, diameter, so I can always make another one. And to be honest with you, with the setup I got, it didn't take long, so I might just do a spare one before I sort of pack it all away again. So we've now got that bolt, centre bolt loose, as you can see there, starting to wobble around. So I'll continue to strip this side down first, take you through that, and then do the other side, but you don't need to see that, it's just a repeat of this side. So we'll undo the head bolts. On the cylinder head and the fixings. Oh, it's a thin aluminium gasket. It might get away with reusing that. Head looks okay. Need to drop the exhaust off. I think it's just designed to be hand tight. There's no sort of definition you can get on these exhaust rings to get them undone. I'll just try a piece of wood. Ridges aren't deep enough for a C-spanner to grab hold of them. Undo down here as well. Pin spanner for that. Oh yeah, I know, we're doing it all properly, you know. Got all the gear, no idea, as they say. Got these multi-purpose C-spanner set. 3 different sizes, and it comes with a pin leg as well. As he drops his socket set on the floor. I knew I shouldn't have brought a socket set in there. Right, so just change that for that. Now we've dropped the socket set, I don't know what I've done with the screw. Safely in the box. I'll move that off the seat as well, because that'll fall off on the floor as well and add to the chaos. Oh yeah, it's landed face side down with all the sockets falling in the dirt. Cheeky little tatty thread. Come on, he came out of there. There we go. Well, the ball looks okay from the top here, but we should wait and see. There we go. Easy. Easy like Sunday morning. There we go. That's loose enough, I think. Yeah. Excellent. Just rest that on there for now. And oh yeah, I think we can be able to get that off there gently. Save the base gasket. There we go. One barrel off. Doesn't look too bad. And the piston rings are all okay on this one. Now allegedly it did have a new piston, but I'm not sure which side. if it was the other side. This one's really good. Okay, so need to get our gudgeon pin out. It's probably easier with the other barrel off, so I'll get the other barrel off, come back to you. There we go, second barrel. Yep, looks pretty good. Need to change those for proper circlets. Different clip this side. Mix and match. Okay, they should push out just a bit tight on the outside here. So I'll just warm that up and I should just be able to push that out. Like that. No drama, no vices, no clamps, just warm fingers. Yeah, bad news on the little end. It's amazing it ran at all. But the pistons are okay. Rings are all good. And I will mark these up front and rear, but I think the single pin goes to the back. Double pins at the front, going by the one on the other side. And this is the way I took it out. What I'll do is I'll put the spring clip back in on the inside. Okay, just remember that. Spring clip on the inside. I will mark it when I've degreased it. So I should be able to unwind. The end looks okay. Bit of pickup in there. Where's that gone? Yeah, not too bad. It's just those corrosion pits. Oil holes, that's what they are. Now I've got the barrels and pistons off, I should just be able to hold the bolt with the tool and rotate this in the opposite direction and unscrew it off of the bolt. Nearly there, there we go. And then get the con rod straight down the bottom, tilt, and out she comes. And there is your Herf coupling. So that comes out of that side. And then that comes out of that side. And there's your special bolt. The other side here of coupling. And your rods. Oh, my plasticine. I'll give that back to Jenkins. And yeah, knackered in a race. Need to get that off as well. I'm wondering whether that's, you know, we found that Castellar in the tank. I had to clean all that out. I wonder where it's been sitting with Castellar in it. It's eating it away. It's not down the bottom of the crankshafts though, they're pretty good. There we go. 2-part crankshaft. So I just thought I'd explain the setup for cutting the splines on my crank removal tool. As I said, I worked out it needed 12 divisions or 12 teeth, so I just used the indexing on the back plate of the chuck here to get my 12 divisions, because it's divided into 24, just every other one, like I said, just undoing it, unlocking it, moving it round to, locking it back in, and then locking it back down, and then going in and cutting the next profile. And what I used was, when I researched it on the internet, it said that it was a 60-degree angle for the splines on the teeth. Now, having cut 60 degrees for the teeth and used the tool, I don't think it is. And having a look down the end, I think it's a gear profile. Anyway, getting ahead of myself. So the way we cut these 60-degree angle grooves, I mean, normally you get a milling cutter like this, you know, conventional milling cutter wheel that's ground to a V, so you can get a 60-degree V wheel and you can go in and cut these like this. But I didn't have one. What I did have is these, which are a dovetail cutter, a sort of an end mill. This one's 55-degree angle, but this one's 60-degree angle. But the trouble is, if you have it straight down like that, you can't cut a V. So what you need to do is tilt this cutter over like that. So just set the head on the mill over 30 degrees, just half the angle, 30 degrees. And then that puts my point here in the middle of my angled slot that I want. And then each side will be 30 degrees to give you my 60 degrees. And that worked really well. But having a close inspection through the hole, I'm sure that bolt it's a gear profile. I don't think it's just a straight, you know, angled V like this. And the trouble with that is, this is why we have gears that are sort of rounded. It's so that they mesh when you know, turning one against the other. So you get a sort of sweeping contact point like that. Do you like that? Yeah, sort of like that, if you know what I mean. So it's two curves, and as they go round, they, you know, the contact point stays constant on the gear tooth. The trouble with doing it straight like this, it will smack in on the top of a curve. It'll make contact there, but then it will start sort of jamming up. And this is the problem I was getting. That's why the teeth got so damaged when I first undone it. But it cracked the bolt, got it undone, and as you saw, I just sort of trimmed it off, then popped it back in again and used it for undoing the nut. Well, just holding it really, because once you've got it loose, you can undo the crank the other side and just wind it off of the bolt. So what I am going to try and do is, I've got some gear cutters I've never used, but I've got a load of different ones. And looking at this one, this is a number 1 12DP, and I've got a bunch of these, and they look like they will fit in that groove that I've cut, that 60-degree slot, quite nicely. And I think what they'll do then is they'll square off the bottom of the slot, which will give the tooth on the bolt a bit of clearance, and also rounded on the side. So what I am going to do with this tool here is set the mill up to run these through, just to tidy them up and hopefully put more of a geared profile on the teeth. Should make it turn a lot easier. So we might give that a go for a little fiddle. So there you go, mission accomplished. Tool made, tool fitted, crank split, engine disassembled. And yeah, looking at it, pistons are good, rings are good, bores are good, bearing surfaces not so good. We've got some issues that need sorting, but yeah, we're going to deal with that in another video. So if you like that, give us a little like, hit subscribe, and we'll see you in another video. But before you go, big shout out to, you know who you are, those that have made little donation to Tweed's Tea Fund. Thank you very much appreciated. And yeah, it will be going towards sherbet fountains for Jenkins, and yeah, some new plasticine because I made his all greasy, and yeah, quite a few bearings. All right, see you in another video. Cheerio. What's that, Jenkins? Oh yeah, very nice plasticine model. Don't show Mrs. Tweed, she'll smack you around the chops. Hello, welcome to Tweed's Garage, where in this episode we're pulling the engine apart, and then you left me making... So I just thought I'd we fix things with fire, can't say. We fix things, can't say it.